Special report. Friends are worried about Ezra Miller's breakdown as the Flash actor tours the U.S. in body armor and deals with allegations that he is the leader of a cult in Iceland. Hello, we are here to provide you with a special report and analysis on the Ezra Miller situation. Before we begin our video for today, however, I want to sincerely thank everyone for their support of our channel and assure you that we will continue to work hard to provide the best material we can. Without further ado, let's get to today's video. Despite Ezra Miller was a rising star, their once bright Hollywood future is now in jeopardy due to charges of grooming, abuse, and unpredictable conduct. In Los Angeles that May morning, Sarah Jumping Eagle was frantically trying to get her 18-year-old daughter away from Ezra Miller. Jumping Eagle said that throughout the previous 5 months, Miller had verbally attacked Tokata Iron Eyes, restricted access to her phone, and left bruises on her arms and face. When Tokata was just 12 years old, Miller had been accepted into the family. Miller had developed a fondness for the little girl and had flown her to London for the film's premiere while also supporting Tokata's desire to pursue music. However, the Miller that Tokata's parents previously knew was becoming erratic and violent on a daily basis. Jumping Eagle and her husband, Chase Iron Eyes, hopped on a plane to save their daughter when they discovered that Miller and Tokata were in L.A. When Tokata begged Miller to keep away from her, Miller called an Uber and insisted that Tokata get in. Tokata said she urged Miller to call the Uber in a text message. According to Jumping Eagle and a medical record, when Jumping Eagle went into the rear of the car to speak to her daughter, Miller slammed the door so forcefully on her arms that she needed to be treated at an urgent care facility. "Ezra Miller, stop hitting me," she said. Tokata was riding in the Uber as it raced away. Jumping Eagle admitted that she was unsure of when she will see her daughter again. She recalled saying to herself, "I have no means of finding them." She claimed that the meeting inspired her and her husband to raise awareness about Miller, who they claim has a history of pursuing and grooming young individuals who are at risk. "The safety of our daughter is our top priority," according to Jumping Eagle. "We want to warn other individuals." Miller has long been praised as a new Hollywood figure. Critics initially took notice of the actor in the films We Need to Talk About Kevin from 2011 and The Perks of Being a Wallflower from 2012. Fans had discovered their hero when Miller came out as LGBT that year, telling to the media, "I'm open to love wherever it may be found." Miller was daring in a world of generic superstars with their dark, flowing hair and delicate bone structure. They chose to live on their Vermont farm instead of in the city, where they kept goats and chanted to caterpillars, walking the red carpet in a pinstripe skirt suit with a rhinestone bustier. They seemed destined for next-level popularity by the time they featured in the 2016 blockbusters Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them and Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, making him the first out actor to appear as the major cinematic superhero The Flash. Miller, 29, however, has changed from one of Hollywood's most promising performers to one of its worst liabilities over the past 2 years. Miller was seen on camera strangling a fan in Iceland in April 2020. W. detained twice in Hawaii this spring, once on suspicion of second-degree assault and another time on suspicion of disorderly conduct and harassment. A German lady claimed in June that Miller insulted her and wouldn't leave her apartment earlier in the year. A source informed that the actor was hosting a woman and her 3 children at his Vermont home during that month, and that one of the little guests, a 1-year-old, accidentally put a stray bullet in her mouth. When Miller came out as gay in 2012, he gained a loyal following by saying to media, "I'm open to love wherever it may be found." A temporary protective order requiring Miller to keep away from Tokata's parents was obtained in June. The actor had been grooming Tokata for 6 years, according to records filed in tribal court, and was physically and emotionally abusive. Tokata said in an interview with Insider that Miller was the target of a vile and reckless slander campaign and that Miller had in several instances done the right thing and stood in defense of others. A Massachusetts mother of a 12-year-old was also given a temporary harassment protection order against Miller a week after Tokata's parents received their protection order. The woman said that Miller displayed an improper interest in her kid. 14 persons who recently interacted with Miller and felt frightened because of the actor's alarming emotional outbursts or because he was carrying a gun were interviewed by the media. According to some, Miller looked for non-binary and naive young women who they could isolate from their family and manage. Miller occasionally engaged in sexual activity with these individuals. During Miller's almost 2-month stay in Iceland in 2020, where he roamed the streets barefoot, accusations surfaced that the actor was leading a cult from an Airbnb. The actor has reportedly been driving around the U.S. with at least one pistol and a bulletproof vest for the past 6 months out of a psychotic fear of being followed by the FBI and the Ku Klux Klan. The vest, according to Tokata, was a trendy safety precaution in reaction to genuine attacks and received death threats. Miller posted a video in January threatening to kill KKK members. Miller's mental health is a concern for a number of individuals close to him, and they feared that the actor may have been delusional due to fame-related pressures or because no one is prepared to monitor their conduct. Many of the individuals who talked with Insider requested anonymity out of concern for the star's reprisal. According to a longtime family friend of Miller's, I think Ezra has been enabled because of their renown, their riches, their earning potential, their whiteness, and their beauty. They said, when someone has as much resources as Ezra, it's incredibly difficult to step in. People are less likely to refuse you when you are well known. I believe that they can be really hazardous. According to Miller's friends, officials at Warner Brothers, the production company for the Fantastic Beasts series and the DC Extended Universe movies where the character of the Flash is featured, as well as Miller's parents, don't seem to have done anything to try to get him assistance. And any request for comment from Warner Brothers was not answered. Longtime family friend, people in Ezra's life are genuinely grieving the person they've lost. Because I don't believe that guy will return. Miller was raised in an artistic environment. Their mother, Marta Miller, is a contemporary dancer, and their father, Robert Miller, is a book publisher and former vice president of Hyperion Books. Miller was frequently invited by Marta to the family's Vermont rural home, where she established a dancers and artists colony. Miller, who began training as an opera singer at age 6 in order to overcome a speech impediment and later joined the Metropolitan Opera, had a natural talent for performing. Miller was characterized by a friend as an extroverted, gregarious clown who dressed in floral thrift store finds, engaged in the occasional acid trip, and smoked pot at their exclusive high school in New Jersey. Miller looked to have a degree of emotional intelligence rare for their age, according to another longtime family friend. The individual remarked, they were really able to connect with others. Miller admitted in an interview that they spat on the screenplay for the perks of being a wallflower when they first viewed it since they were choosy about roles as a young actor. Miller stated, I was enraged that some fool somewhere was trying to trash a beautiful work of writing. Miller played drums in the genre queer rock group Sons of an Illustrious Father, now known as Odd Kin, in between acting gigs. Marta Miller, the actor's mother, is a modern dancer who fostered the actor's imagination since he was a youngster. Miller's career was flourishing, but the actor appeared uneasy and made references to mental health issues. They stated in 2018 that the cults of fame and the zealots of celebrities, that's what runs the world now. So, whether you're a politician or someone else, you're simply a famous person with a fan base like me. You realize? And I think we're all psychologically ill. When I watch the news or television, I think, oh, it's my folks. Together, We have mental illness. Cool. Their conduct, which was initially described as eccentric, grew increasingly unsettling towards the end of 2019, according to onlookers. According to crew employees, Miller frequently wore long robes, a cloak, and a unicorn head on the set of Asking for It, a feminist thriller shot in Oklahoma in the fall of 2019. The outfit was not a part of Miller's wardrobe for on-screen use. Miller's overpowering body odor was a topic of much discussion on set, and one member of the production team told that Miller looked to be mentally disorganized. The production assistant remarked that Miller appeared to be just sort of floating from place to place, room to room, adding that it was kind of shocking. Miller continued to yell, spit, and disrupt the director during filming the TV miniseries The Stand a few months later, according to Kevin Armstrong, an extra on the production. According to a second witness, Miller would shout crazily on the set to elicit a response. Armstrong said that Miller yelled out an insulting remark at one point right before the camera started recording. It went something like this: "Hey, what are you doing here?" the bartender said as a Jew, a black guy, and a homosexual man entered the establishment. "You're not welcome here," Armstrong brought it back. Armstrong claimed that the guy in charge of extras informed him that Miller was method acting because their role, Trashcan Man, was mentally disturbed after Armstrong complained about Miller's actions. However, a former Miller colleague said that circumstances deteriorated to the point where Miller's management and attorney were contacted by production because people on set were not feeling secure. Armstrong described Miller's actions as disgusting and very disrespectful, adding that anybody else would have been immediately taken from the set. Miller came to London in February 2020 to film the movie Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore, in which they portray Credence Barebone. Miller traveled to Iceland after the Harry Potter spin-off's production was put on hold due to COVID-19. Some Icelanders did not appreciate Miller's presence, describing him as forceful and offensive-smelling. The performer, who frequently wore the same baggy bohemian clothes, walked barefoot through the chilly streets of Reykjavik, showing long, pointed toenails and what seemed to be an infected wound on one foot, according to 3 witnesses. One witness remembered seeing Miller stumbling about while walking. Jasper Young Bear, Miller's personal assistant and spiritual guide, claimed to have severed at least one of his own fingers during a ceremonial rite and accompanied him on all of her travels. Staff members at Beau Parade's, an art house movie theater, claimed that the actor used it as a type of clubhouse and that Miller periodically burned sage there to expel evil spirits. Miller stayed at a large, contemporary Airbnb in the Kappavogur neighborhood of Reykjavik for the most of their time in Iceland. Although several of them had their own houses in Reykjavik, they crammed the house with a motley crew of Icelandic artists, expats, and spiritual confidants that they invited to reside there. A lady who spent a day at the residence in March 2020 described finding multiple beds laid out on the floor and made the comparison that it was like a commune. She was astounded by how charmed the visitors appeared to be of Miller, listening intently to everything they said and appearing unconcerned by his mood swings. She remarked, "I felt like everyone was under hypnosis." Miller's temporary commune, their eloquent spiritual discourses, and their emotional outbursts caused accusations of a cult to spread around Reykjavik. Daily judicial sessions were held at the Airbnb. According to 2 witnesses, they frequently made references to having supernatural abilities and encouraged visitors to take part in Young Bear's guided group meditations. They talked in depth about destiny and the value of social justice for disadvantaged people. Many of the people who were associated with Miller claimed to support the causes he was passionate about, but Miller frequently went too far. Due in part to Miller's kindness, 2 individuals said that the actor's fame and influence made them reluctant to oppose him. Miller insisted on footing the bill for the buddies' cannabis, food, and hotel. An Icelandic musician who collaborated with Miller claimed that for his birthday, the actor gave him 200,000 krona, or around $1,500. The musician claimed that the more time he spent with Miller, the more they began to act and believe like him. When asked about her brief sexual encounter with Miller in Iceland when she was 18 years old, a young lady recalled that nobody ever was kind of permitted to disagree with them. Everyone else's world was colored by their reality. There was no place for anyone else's views or opinions. Some visitors claimed that Miller's mood swings made them feel scared. A 23-year-old who made 2 trips to the residence claimed to have seen Miller lose his cool as a group of pals argued about which music should be played on the sound system. She claimed Miller called the residence a shelter, cursed at them, and yelled for them to leave. She remarked, "They went from being a welcoming host to this extremely furious person." Miller, according to the 23-year-old, would not permit the wrongdoers to speak or offer an explanation. The woman who paid a visit to the property in March claimed that Miller reacted angrily when she attempted to use her phone in his company. They said, "Hey, I'm talking to you. How come you're on your phone?" she said. The lady and her friend were later escorted into a room by Miller, who addressed them about wanting to leave the residence. Miller informed them, adding that they could read their minds. "You don't like my hospitality," the lady remarked. She recalls feeling imprisoned and afraid. Eventually, the woman snuck a text to a relative requesting them to pick her up. She claimed that leaving the house resembled escaping. She said, "I was a little traumatized for a time. It was among the strangest days I've ever had." Miller's actions remained mostly hidden until April 1, 2020, when the actor was caught on camera chokehold throwing a lady at Priki Café's, a hip club in Reykjavik. Miller's violent outburst surprised Carlos Rainier, a bartender who had grown close to Miller. The actor spat in Rainier's face as he led Miller out of the pub. "At first, I thought they were fantastic. We engaged in extensive philosophical discussion and covered a wide range of spiritual topics," media quoted Rainier. "They were posing as this beautiful person with an absolutely open mind who is willing to assist and communicate with everyone. However, when someone does something they don't like or agree with, it's their responsibility, none of Miller's." When the choking footage surfaced online, supporters defended Miller. Some claimed on social media that the footage was false or an overextended prank. This wasn't the Miller they had come to know and love. Miller hired up areas of the Hotel Laugarbakki in northern Iceland that month to record music. A young woman from Iceland who was 18 at the time was among the local musicians invited to the hotel. The artists remembered how they used the hotel's hot pool, smoked marijuana, and sang pagan rituals during their first day there. She said that later that evening, Miller, the young lady, and another woman had a threesome. The young woman, who described being very lost and dependent on booze and drugs at the time, added, "My ego was blossoming. Ezra basically said after that, 'My room is your room. Now, this is where you will dwell.' And I thought, cool." She claimed to have spent 6 days at the hotel. She claimed that what began as an exhilarating encounter turned into one of the most horrific weeks of her life. She claimed that Miller had mood swings that made her emotional and perplexed. They would suddenly turn into this very sweet, gorgeous person and say, "I love you," she recalled. "Then they would tell me that I was fucking horrible," she said. The girl said that there was a lot of psychological torture. The young lady accidentally confused the Spanish terms for 6 and 7 once. She giggled as she realized her error and leaned close to Miller. Miller allegedly commanded her to "get the fuck off me" and termed the mistake disgusting, according to her. Her bandmate, who was there throughout the incident, claimed that Miller's answer astounded him. Another occasion, the young woman claimed, Miller approached her as she was stretching in a common area and inquired whether she was doing yoga. They started talking about yoga. Miller then started yelling. She recalls Ezra saying, "You don't know anything about yoga." This threatening monster just seized control. The young woman said that Miller made her feel guilty for being white in both instances. The young lady said that while staying at the hotel, she had 3 sex encounters with Miller and had very infrequent contact with her friends and family. She said that the actor developed an obsession with her capacity for procreation and worshipped her beautiful womb by talking to it, staring at it, caressing it, and placing their head on her tummy. She said that Miller thought her loved ones were attempting to hold her back and urged her to leave her life behind in order to pursue a more fulfilling future. "All right, I'm going to Hollywood," she recalled thinking as she believed Miller was her key to success. Ezra was a master of deception. "We were all somewhat under his control," she remarked. "Everything I thought I knew about the universe, they were able to twist and turn," the author said. Miller made the decision to head back to Reykjavik after 6 days. The young lady took a ride from the actor and their group since she was eager to go home. Her roommate handed her a bundle of reading material on cults when she got back to her apartment because she had heard the tales about Miller and had become concerned when the lady stopped responding to texts. The roommate claimed that the materials described how cult leaders isolate their members by cutting them apart from friends and family and how they promise spiritual awakenings or monetary things to influence them. The young lady remarked that it was exactly the same as I was in with Ezra, and it truly worried me. The woman said that she fled her residence for 10 days before Miller departed the country out of fear of running across Miller once more. Her wounds from the incident still hurt. She acknowledged that although it had just been 6 days, it seemed much longer. "I remember thinking, wow, I don't know how I'm going to get over this." Tokata Iron Eyes was going through her first semester of college while Miller's actions in Iceland grew increasingly concerning. For years, Miller has come and gone from Tokata's life. When Tokata was 12 years old, they first met in 2016. She and her parents, who are Lakota Nation members from North and South Dakota, played a major role in the opposition to the Dakota Access Pipeline that was slated to be constructed close to the Standing Rock Reservation in North Dakota. Celebrities who supported progressive causes were drawn to the movement, including Miller, who went with Shailene Woodley, who was at the time reported to be their girlfriend. On December 15, 2016, in New York City, actor Mark Ruffalo, Shailene Woodley, Tokata Iron Eyes, and director Josh Fox attend the Stand with Standing Rock benefit at ABC Home and Carpet. Tokata Iron Eyes, seen in the middle, rose to prominence in the opposition against the Dakota Access Oil Project. According to Iron Eyes and Jumping Eagle, Miller maintained in touch with Tokata, vowing to support her musical endeavors and occasionally paying her a surprise visit at home. The family stated that initially, they were unaware of any concerning conduct, but welcomed Miller's assistance with the pipeline. Jumping Eagle stated, "We always believed Ezra was trying so hard to be distinct." However, they said that Miller's interest in their daughter grew with time. According to Tribe Court records, Miller flew Tokata, a 14-year-old Harry Potter devotee, and other Standing Rock members to London in December 2017 so they could view the Fantastic Beasts production. According to the records, Miller, who was 25 at the time, tried to share a bed with Tokata but was prevented by a tribe member. Tokata asserted that the event never occurred while Tokata's parents claimed they were just made aware of it recently this year. Tokata enrolled in Bard College at Simon's Rock in January 2020 when she was 16 years old. Miller's Vermont farm was a less than 2-hour drive away. She left in December 2021 and asked Chief Bear Cross, a family friend, if she might spend a few days at his house in South Dakota. The chief was shocked to see that she had brought 4 additional persons, including Miller and a man in his 50s called Whitney Suiters who was carrying a gun. According to Bear Cross and another household member who wished to remain anonymous, throughout the group's 4-day stay, Miller unannouncedly brandished a revolver, yelled about being pursued by the FBI, and wouldn't let Tokata out of their sight. Miller unintentionally pulled a pistol during a picture shoot at his house in December 2020, according to Chief Bear Cross. "Thank you, Chief Bear Cross." The family member claimed she witnessed Miller and Tokata having sex on a bed outside one chilly night. "There is a yard light," she remarked, adding that it was dark. Tokata told Insider that Bear Cross claimed that the household member alerted him about the event as soon as it occurred was so extremely wrong. On the first day of the new year, the party departed the reserve and started driving to Los Angeles. Iron Eyes accompanied them all the way to Oakland at his daughter's request. Iron Eyes remarked, "This is when I was able to glimpse some of Ezra's insane conduct." He stated that while on the trip, Miller made claims such as that they were a manifestation of Jesus Christ, that Tokata had once been his mother, and that at one point he displayed a revolver in a state park. These occurrences were cited in the protective order as indications of violence and psychological manipulation by Tokata's parents. Later that month, Miller traveled with Tokata back to the Vermont property. Tokata's parents were phoned on January 29th by Miller and their home guests to inform them that Tokata was unconscious after taking LSD 4 days earlier. The following day, Iron Eyes and Jumping Eagle took a plane to Vermont. They said that Tokata was out of it and incoherent when they arrived, yelling nonstop until she temporarily lost her voice. They said she had injuries on her wrists and left cheek and was missing her phone and ID. The bruising happened after Miller held Tokata to the ground and yelled at her for not answering a question, a witness at the farm informed Tokata's parents, according to the protective order. In an interview, Tokata claimed that she had taken a microdose of LSD and that the injuries were the consequence of self-harm motivated by the loss of a close friend. She went on to say that she could have received some of the injuries when her parents violently hauled her away from Miller's residence. Tokata was not dragged at any point, according to Jumping Eagle. The Pine Ridge Reservation in South Dakota is where Iron Eyes and Jumping Eagle returned with their daughter. Miller contacted them as they were leaving, promising to arrange Tokata 24-hour mental treatment if they returned her to the property. In retrospect, Jumping Eagle claimed that she thought Miller was trying to control everything and attempt to keep Tokata in their hands. Approximately 3 weeks after Tokata's overdose, she stayed with her parents, who used that time to get her a new phone, ID, and bank card. Tokata threatened to cut off communication with her parents if they sought a restraining order against Miller or filed assault charges against him. It was a tight spot, according to Jumping Eagle. Additionally, we were unaware of how much Ezra had manipulated Tokata. I suppose we were innocent. According to Tokata's parents, Miller has been shadowing her since she was 12 years old. They assert that Miller has mistreated Tokata verbally and physically over the past few months. Tokata said in an interview with Insider that while she was living in South Dakota, her parents treated her like a prisoner and coerced her into taking part in rituals with a medicine man who had her inhale my own flaming hair as he hacked it off my head. Tokata claims her parents warned her that she was possessed and would perish if she made touch with Miller once again. She referred to those weeks as some of the worst of her life, saying, "I felt horribly uncared for and deeply unsafe there." Later, Jumping Eagle informed the reporters that nobody claimed Tokata was possessed and that she was free to come and go while on the reserve, adding that her hair wasn't trimmed at the time. After a while, Tokata decided to go to New York City to collaborate on music with a buddy her parents believed in. She went to meet Miller instead. Miller's dominance over Tokata increased in the spring of 2022, according to Oliver Ignatius, a long-standing musical partner of Miller's. The 18-year-old and the actor visited Hawaii in March. Ignatius, who met the duo there and collaborated on music with them for a week, said Miller took Tokata's phone for her protection while she was on the island and forced her to alter her name to Gibson, which, according to Tokata's mother, was the nickname for her family's dog. Ignatius remarked, "Tokata was extremely direct with me. I adore going by the name Tokata," she declared. "And I believe the name is lovely." "You prefer going by Gibson now," Ezra remarked, adding no. Ignatius described Tokata's response as deflated silence. Tokata, a non-binary person who identifies as they/them, said she goes by both those names and that she came up with Gibson herself. Things immediately became gloomy in Hawaii. After shouting profanities, stealing a woman's microphone, and lunging at a man playing darts, Miller was taken into custody at a karaoke club and charged with disorderly conduct and harassment. Miller cautioned police officers not to hurt Miller's wrists with handcuffs since they are musicians on body camera footage of the arrest. In exchange for the harassment allegation being dismissed, Miller pled no guilty and received a $500 fine for disorderly behavior. Miller was detained and charged with harassment and disorderly behavior at a karaoke bar in Hilo, Hawaii, in March. A Hawaii couple lodged a request for a temporary restraining order against Miller the next day while residing in a Hilo hostel. The actor allegedly barged into the couple's bedroom and said, "I will bury you and your slut wife," according to the couple's petition. According to the petition, the couple had let Miller and Tokata to reside with them. In addition, Miller was charged with taking a passport, a wallet, and bank cards, according to the couple's petition. The petition was finally withdrawn by the couple. The Hawaii Police Department said that Miller was detained once more on April 19th. The actor was accused of throwing a chair at the forehead of another lady after being asked to leave a party at a Big Island property. Miller was never formally charged and was freed awaiting more inquiry. Ignatius said that Miller continued to harass Tokata after the two of them left Vermont in May. He said that Miller kept Tokata's phone from her and once yelled profanities at her for wearing cosmetics. Miller reportedly said, "Exactly what are you doing? Applying this awful clown makeup?" According to Tokata, she was never yelled at. She stated, "I loved that queer discussion over a poorly placed rouge on my part. I believe that a homosexual person's crude remark that wearing cosmetics constitutes abuse is actually extremely homophobic speech." Miller once took Tokata to a church in Vermont that Ignatius and his wife were remodeling. Ignatius said that as Miller sloppily kissed Tokata farewell at the church entryway, he loomed quite tall over her. According to Tokata, she was never yelled at. She stated, "I loved that queer discussion over a poorly placed rouge on my part. I believe that a homosexual person's crude remark that wearing cosmetics constitutes abuse is actually extremely homophobic speech." Miller once took Tokata to a church in Vermont that Ignatius and his wife were remodeling. Ignatius said that as Miller sloppily kissed Tokata farewell at the church entryway, he loomed quite tall over her. Few days after Tokata's LSD episode in February, Miller traveled to a Massachusetts little village. There they encountered a mother and her 11-year-old, who was non-binary by gender identity. The mother got along with Suitors, Miller's traveling partner, who was also a bandmate of her downstairs neighbor. The group met at a table in the neighbor's flat on the evening of February 2nd. In order to protect her child, the mother requested anonymity. She told that the actor made inappropriate eye contact with her 11-year-old. She said that Miller praised the youngster's sense of style and maturity before asking whether they were interested in launching a clothing brand. Miller also volunteered to cover the cost of the kids' design school tuition. "I'd like to contribute to your future. I want to turn you into someone now 12 years old," the boy remembered Miller telling them. They said, "I'm someone who doesn't like talking to new people, so I'm pretty uncomfortable," but claimed Miller was pressing and pushing me to chat. They said that Miller also requested their Instagram username. She said that Miller again raged at the mother of the kid that evening. The mother, who dresses in an alternative, goth manner, made a joke about how she always appeared to be a vampire at one time. According to her, Miller began shrieking, "Do you want to suck my blood?" and yanked down their shirt collar, exposing their jugular. Miller erupted once more, saying that the mother was being racist and accused her of cultural appropriation when she used the phrase tribe to refer to her pals, the witness claimed. Additionally, she remembered Miller telling her that her kid was a supernatural entity stronger than their mother and that they would be blessed to have Ezra to lead and defend them. Against Miller, who the mother said had an improper interest in her now 12-year-old child, she was given a temporary harassment protection order in Massachusetts. The mother said she met Miller at a nearby music venue the next day, and they both expressed regret for their outbursts. Miller returned to the neighborhood music venue in April. The mother and the youngster both expressed being leery of the actor at this point after learning of Miller's charges in Hawaii. The now 12-year-old said that Miller coerced them into giving up their phone information at the venue. Miller suggested paying for the child's design school, offered to purchase them horses, and requested the child to stay at his farm once again. Part of them, according to the 12-year-old, wanted to believe Miller. "Yes, I did want it to occur. It had the ideal pitch," they said. But it was also just generally uneasy, suspicious, and unsafe. The last time the youngster saw Miller was on June 4th, when he arrived at their apartment complex wearing a cowboy hat and boots and requesting to purchase horses for the 12-year-old. Before TMZ revealed that Tokata's parents were requesting a protection order, it had been 4 days. The mother of the 12-year-old received a temporary harassment protection order against Miller on June 15th. In order to draw attention to the matter, she claimed to have contacted Tokata's parents and made the decision to talk with the media. "It's about safeguarding kids and shining a light on what's actually going on," she added. Miller has kept enticing naive youth into their orbit for the past year. One is Rosie Durkol, a 24-year-old fashion designer and yoga instructor who has been traveling intermittently with Miller and Tokata recently. Ignatius said that in March on a beach in Hawaii, Miller verbally assaulted Durkol. Durkol placed the feather Miller handed her in her hair. Miller was furious when Ignatius stated this and charged Durkol of appropriating Native American customs. Durkol said in an email to media that she had a private talk with Miller and that Ignatius' account of it had been dramatically overinflated. Durkol added that Ezra has done nothing other than try to protect people close to them despite the onslaught of press and defamation. This has been to their own detriment and has been done voluntarily in order to protect others. Her relationship with Ezra has proven time and time again what a caring, compassionate, and supportive person they are, she said. A woman by the name of Ana Rosa, who has been residing on their property with her 3 young children since mid-April, is also rumored to be staying with Miller. According to the father of the kids, Ana Rosa transported the kids to Vermont against his will. Someone who went to the farm this spring reported finding firearms and marijuana being heavily used inside the home without enough ventilation. The visitor said that he once witnessed Miller blow marijuana smoke into the baby's face and wave additional smoke at the child with their arm. On June 16th, Ana Rosa dubbed Miller Angel and said they had saved my life in a since-deleted Instagram live video. When contacted for comment, she remained silent. Miller's charges come at a difficult moment for Warner Media, the parent company of Warner Brothers, whose management was changed following the conclusion of a merger with Discovery about 4 months ago. David Zaslav, the new CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery, has been charged with overcoming significant obstacles, including managing the business's debt and revamping its streaming services. The actor's lead part in The Flash, which is supposed to have a $100 million budget, has reportedly been subject to rumors that Zaslav may cancel the project. Warner Brothers cannot win in this, a company source recently told Deadline. Zaslav has an inherited issue with this. Another insider in the business suggested that Warner Bros.' best course of action may be to wait and observe what transpires with Miller before the film's scheduled June 2023 release. The insider said, "Right now there are just too many unknowns. However, no one wants to spend so much money on a movie for it to have a blurry image." Hollywood sources have assumed Warner Brothers would cancel Miller's lead part in The Flash due to the studio's silence over Miller. Miller's conduct, according to several persons who have lately dealt with him, is suggestive of mental illness, yet they still think Miller is a wonderful person. Producer of The Perks of Being a Wallflower, Russell Smith, told he was concerned about Miller but would not elaborate. According to legal documents submitted by Tokata's parents, Miller, Tokata, and their pals contemplated staging an intervention and notifying Warner Brothers in April. Marta Miller, the mother of Miller, and Warner Brothers withdrew. The bandmate who traveled with Miller to Iceland claimed that around the same time, Miller received a speakerphone call from Marta asking about their mental health. Friends claimed they had questioned Miller's family's lack of more strong intervention. One of Miller's childhood friends speculated that Miller's parents must be witnessing this. Tokata's parents claim in the protective order that Marta has helped Miller. When Jumping Eagle notified Marta that Miller had abused her daughter, Marta reportedly responded by saying that Miller would have to be spiritually answerable to Tokata. Was informed by a different source that Marta was aware Miller had taken Tokata's phone in Vermont. The mother of the 12-year-old expressed her desire to think Miller had good intentions with her son. The actor's outspokenness and everything that they had done for LGBTQ representation in Hollywood served as an inspiration for the adolescent. They are viewed as successful, LGBT, and active members of the community, she claimed. "My youngster is absolutely infatuated with this individual and believes that they are a superhero." However, many who have known Miller for a long time told that the actor needs to get help to go back to the guy they knew. The devoted family friend stated, "I'm mourning for that individual right now. They were never really frightening, just kind of odd from other kids their age. We had a really close friendship. It is quite sad. Your visit to our comic books and pop culture channel is much appreciated. Subscribe to Uncanny Collectibles for more unique information, scoops, and exclusive stories."